The world always tells you the same old story. Work hard, be nice to everyone, and always tell the truth. But take a second and look around you. Are the kindest, most transparent people actually the ones winning at the top? Not even close. The people driving society possess a completely different operating system. We've been conditioned to believe that intellect is all about high IQ and textbook memory. But that's just a narrative sold to the workforce to keep them productive and compliant. True leverage is about mental autonomy, having absolute total control over your own mind. It's the ability to decode the hidden motives people hide behind bright smiles, to spot the psychological traps they set, and most importantly, to untangle yourself from the crowd so you can become the architect of your own reality. Most people are just sleepwalking through their day-to-day lives. They react to emotional triggers they don't even understand, dancing to the tunes of master manipulators they can't even see. They genuinely believe they're playing the game, but they're just pieces on someone else's board. If you're exhausted from being used, if you feel like you're playing a game where everyone else got the rule book but you, listen very closely. We aren't here to debate morality today. We are here to talk about survival. Robert Greene wasn't a villain. He was a brutal realist in a world blinded by toxic optimism. He understood that the massive gap between how we wish people behaved and how they actually behave is the exact space where good people get destroyed. You've spent your entire life trying to be the good guy, trying to be completely transparent. And what did it get you? Burnout? The sinking feeling of being overlooked while less talented people climb right over you. That dynamic ends today. Today we are downloading 9 secret laws to insulate yourself from master manipulators. These aren't feel-good, positive affirmations. These are psychological shields, tools designed to dismantle the manipulation around you and build an untouchable mind. But a quick warning. This insight is a one-way street. Once you see how the strings are pulled, you can never go back to enjoying the puppet show. You will start seeing the transactional jigging in your relationships, the quiet power plays at your job, and the subtle blind spots in your own reflection. If you are ready for this level of clarity, let's begin. Welcome to the real world. Law 1. The Law of Strategic Detachment, the mechanic's mindset. This is where your mind will experience the first bit of friction. Since childhood, we've been forced to view every single event through a rigid, binary lens. Good versus bad, fair versus unfair, right versus wrong. This constant emotional judgment is a heavy chain around your neck. A cold strategist doesn't waste time moralizing. They only care about one metric: what is effective versus what is ineffective. When a lion hunts a gazelle, is the lion evil? No, it's just following its nature. When a sudden storm ruins a harvest, is it acting out of malice? No, it's just the law of nature. You suffer because you expect the chaotic universe to respect your personal moral code. You get angry when someone betrays you because you feel they shouldn't have done that. Dark intelligence demands that you view reality exactly how a mechanic views a broken engine. If a car refuses to start, the mechanic doesn't scream at the car or call the engine evil. They simply pop the hood, locate the component that isn't working, and either fix it or replace it. The next time someone blindsides you or tries to manipulate you, do not waste a single ounce of emotional energy being offended. Being offended is a luxury for the weak. Instead, analyze the machinery. Why did they make this move? What do they stand to gain? What leverage do they think they have? And how do I neutralize it? Be a genuinely good person, but always be a cold strategist first. Because a good person with zero power isn't virtuous. They are just a victim in waiting. Stop asking, why did they do this to me? And start asking, what does this move allow me to do next? Law 2. The law of outcome independence, the power of walking away. The root of almost all social anxiety and desperation is a tight, suffocating attachment to the outcome. You desperately want the job. You want the relationship. You want the validation. And because you want it so intensely, you unconsciously broadcast desperation. In the laws of human psychology, desperation is highly repulsive. People naturally run from those who need them, and they are magnetically drawn to those who can live perfectly fine without them. You must cultivate a state of radical independence from the outcome. It's a mindset that says, I will work incredibly hard for this. I will map out the perfect plan. But if it falls through, I will be absolutely fine. This isn't about giving up. It is the ultimate power move. When you are genuinely willing to stand up and walk away from a negotiation table, you instantly hold all the leverage. When you are genuinely okay with losing a relationship, you are the one who sets the standards. If your boss knows you are terrified of losing your paycheck, they own you. If your partner knows you are terrified of being single, they control you. Mentally accept the absolute worst-case scenario right now. Visualize losing it all, make peace with it, and realize that you would survive and rebuild. The moment you destroy your fear of loss, you become completely untouchable. Law 3. The law of the persona, the tactical masks. You probably believe that you are just one fixed individual, and that you owe it to the world to be completely authentic at all times. This is a massive limitation. You are not a monolith, you are a collection of multiple roles. You are naturally different with your parents than you are with your executive team, and you are different with your close friends than you are with a direct rival. Dark intelligence is the intentional, conscious curation of these masks. It's the realization that what people call raw authenticity is often just an excuse for zero self-control. The person who ruins a professional dinner because they can't control their temper isn't being authentic. They are just being childish. View your personality as a tactical toolkit. When you step into a high-stakes environment, slide on the mask of authority, cold, deliberate, and unwavering. When you are back home, switch the mask. This isn't deception, it's calibration. You wouldn't use a hammer to tighten a tiny screw, so why would you bring the exact same personality to every radically different scenario in life? To survive the modern landscape, you must both know how to be the ferocious lion when strength is needed, and the cunning fox when navigation is required. If you only know how to be the lion, you will charge straight into traps. If you only know how to be the fox, the wolves will eventually corner you. Be fluid, like water. Take the shape of the environment you are in, and you will never shatter. Law 4. The law of the mirror, the psychological reflection. We live in an era of hyper-narcissism. Almost everyone is completely obsessed with their own reflection, starring in their own internal movie while viewing everyone else as mere background extras. And the classic mistake you make? You try to step into their movie and outshine them. You try to show them how smart, capable, or superior you are. Drop that urge entirely. The law of the mirror dictates that you should never try to eclipse them. Instead, become their perfect mirror. Reflect their emotional state right back at them. If they are deeply passionate about a topic, validate that passion. If they are intense, match their energy level. Use their vocabulary. Subtly mirror their physical posture. When you mirror someone effectively, a massive psychological phenomenon takes place. They stop looking at you, and they start looking at a reflection of themselves. And because they love themselves, they will instantly project that affection onto you. They will leave the conversation thinking you are the most brilliant, charismatic, and empathetic person they've ever met, even if you barely said a word about yourself. This isn't about being fake. It's a systematic data collection method. While you are mirroring, you aren't emotionally reacting. You are quietly observing. You are charting their hidden insecurities, their values, and their psychological triggers. While they are distracted by the comforting warmth of their own reflection in your eyes, you are mapping their psyche and finding the keys to ensure they can never manipulate you. Law 5. The Law of Selective Silence, the vacuum of power. Most people talk constantly just to fill the empty space. They are deeply uncomfortable with silence because, in the quiet, they are forced to confront their own internal noise. So they ramble, they over-explain, and they overshare. They willingly hand over the complete blueprints of their mind to anyone willing to listen. And the moment you become entirely predictable, you become easily manageable. Dark intelligence begins when you stop using your words to chase validation and start using them as precision instruments. The individual who speaks the least in any given room almost always commands the most power. Why? Because information is the ultimate currency. When you speak, you are spending capital. When you listen, you are collecting it. Think about the last time you felt genuinely intimidated by someone. Was it the person making loud threats and making a scene? No, it was the person who sat perfectly still, watching you with absolute composure, saying absolutely nothing. That deliberate silence creates a psychological vacuum, and human nature absolutely panics in a vacuum. When you remain completely silent, the other person's rising anxiety will compel them to fill that empty space. They will start talking faster, rambling, revealing their true intentions, and exposing their deepest insecurities. They will literally tell you exactly how to defeat them, simply because they couldn't handle the crushing weight of your silence. Stop over-explaining your choices. Stop offering your unprompted opinions. Become a black hole of information. Absorb everything. Reflect nothing. When people cannot map your position, they cannot build a strategy against you. Law 6. The Law of the Useful Enemy, the Gift of Resistance. Most people dream of a perfectly peaceful life where everyone likes them and conflict never happens. This is a massive biological mistake. Friction is the literal forge of intelligence. Without resistance, your mind naturally atrophies and grows soft. Dark intelligence recognizes the massive utility of having an enemy. A true rival sharpens your focus. They force you to operate with discipline. They highlight the exact vulnerabilities that your friends are too polite to tell you about. Without a fierce competitor, you get complacent, feeding on your own ego until you become weak. History is built on this friction. Nikola Tesla needed Thomas Edison. Muhammad Ali needed Joe Frazier. The heat of the rivalry is exactly what sparks the fire of genius. Stop complaining about the people trying to pull you down. Map them out and use them. Let their opposition be the exact fuel that drives your daily discipline. More importantly, having a clear common enemy is the fastest way to build unbreakable alliances. Nothing unifies a fractured group quicker than a shared threat. If you want to solidify a team, a family, or a movement, you don't preach abstract love. You identify a clear, external threat. Do not fear your enemies, curate them. Choose adversaries worthy of your true potential and let the competition elevate you. Law 7. The Law of Controlled Vulnerability, the Flaw of Armor. There is a common misconception that someone utilizing these strategies must act like a cold, unfeeling robot, distant, rigid, and completely detached. That is amateur hour. That is just someone trying desperately to look tough. True strategists know that humans are deeply emotional creatures. If you appear entirely flawless, too cold, or completely invulnerable, you instantly generate intense envy. You unconsciously create enemies who will actively plot your downfall just to see if you bleed like a human. The solution? Gift them a flaw. This is the law of controlled vulnerability. You intentionally display a small, entirely harmless weakness to disarm the people around you. Share a slightly embarrassing, funny story from your past, or ask for a small, insignificant favor. When people see a minor flaw in you or help you with something trivial, they immediately lower their guard. It triggers a psychological comfort response. They feel a sense of camaraderie, or even a slight comforting sense of superiority. They think, "Oh, he's just like me." Perfect. That is exactly where you want them. While they are busy bonding with your carefully curated, harmless flaw, they become completely blind to your actual core strengths and long-term plans. Never expose your throat, but occasionally show a minor scratch on your arm. A safe dushman is a simple dushman to outmaneuver. Law 8. The law of necessary suspicion, the rule of verification. You've probably heard the old phrase, trust, but verify. Honestly, that is far too soft. The real rule is, verify, then trust provisionally. The naive mind makes the critical error of projecting its own internal goodness onto the rest of the world. You think, well, I would never lie to him, so he definitely wouldn't lie to me. This psychological projection is the exact root cause of your most painful heartbreaks. Dark intelligence accepts a foundational truth. Humans operate primarily out of self-interest. Even acts of profound altruism are often driven by an internal need to feel virtuous. This reality shouldn't make you bitter, it should make you wide awake. You must maintain a constant background radiation of suspicion, not paranoia, but strategic suspicion. Paranoia is irrational fear without evidence. Suspicion is just high attention to detail. Watch what people do, never what they say. Words cost absolutely nothing, and they are designed specifically to manipulate reality. Actions are the only true data points. When someone approaches you with an incredibly easy, massive opportunity, immediately ask yourself, what is the hidden return for them? When someone floods you with excessive praise, ask, what are they trying to distract me from? Test loyalty with small increments of power before you ever hand over the keys to your kingdom. It is infinitely better to be pleasantly surprised by someone's loyalty than to be utterly devastated by their betrayal. Law 9, the law of the shadow, integrating the monster. We close with the deepest law of all, a concept where both Carl Jung and Robert Greene meet. You must completely integrate your inner monster. Modern society constantly trains you to be completely harmless, to be nice, and to deeply repress your anger, your ambition, and your desire for power. But a completely harmless man is not a virtuous man. A harmless man is simply a weak man. If you lack the literal capacity to inflict harm or stand your ground, your peace isn't a choice. It's just a necessity because you can't stop evil. Dark intelligence is the mature realization that you are fully capable of dangerous things. You possess the capacity for cruelty, and you possess the capacity for high-level manipulation. Do not run from this reality. Own it completely. Because if you refuse to recognize the capacity for darkness inside your own reflection, you will remain completely blind to it when it stands right in front of you. You will remain naive. Bring your shadow out of the dark and into the light. Look it dead in the eyes and say, I see you and I control you. When you have the absolute power to dismantle someone, but you consciously choose to walk a peaceful path, that is true virtue. That is controlled power. You need that sharp edge. You need that quiet weight in your eyes that signals to the world, I am peaceful by choice, not out of inability. When you integrate your shadow, you become a whole individual. You stop fearing the darkness in the world because you have successfully mastered the darkness inside yourself, the blueprint for survival. When you integrate your shadow, you become a whole individual. You stop fearing the darkness in the world because you have successfully mastered the darkness inside yourself. These 9 laws are not a casual checklist, they are a permanent lens. From this moment on, when you walk into any room, you will decode reality entirely differently. You will hear the silences that are screaming. You will spot the psychological mirrors people hold up. You will instantly recognize the lions and the foxes. You are no longer a passive civilian in the war of the mind. You are an active combatant. But remember, this level of power carries a distinct burden, the burden of isolation. When you finally wake up there, you realize just how many people are still deeply asleep. You will feel a natural distance grow between you and your past patterns. Your old circles might think you've grown colder, quieter, or different. Let them. You are shedding the skin of the victim. The question isn't whether these laws work. Thousands of years of human history have already proven they do. The real question is, do you have the internal stomach to use them? Most people will watch this entire video, nod their heads in agreement, and slide right back into being prey, complaining about fairness and wishing the world would just become nicer. But you are still here. You are listening to the silence. If you are ready to explore the deep end without blinking and build an untouchable version of yourself, go ahead and subscribe to the channel right now, but only if you are truly ready for what comes next. The rabbit hole goes much deeper, and we are just getting started.